All right, so today I'm going to be explaining my six literary sponsors via Minecraft. I'm just going to go in through each house. I'm going to show different styles. So in here I have this is the representation of my first literary sponsor, which is me playing The Incredibles on the Game Boy or on just any game device. This is supposed to be a TV, but I accidentally broke this earlier, so I'm just going to cover it up with there you go. So yeah, so I would always play this game called The Incredibles, and I learned a lot of like high level words. For example, a word I want to believe a word that I learned as a child from this game was invincible. I did not know what that word was, and hearing that word a lot in that game made me understand what that word was until I was able to, understand when everyone said something was invincible. I understood immediately. While other kids in my class, when I was like in kindergarten, were still like, "What?" My secondary sponsor would be changing my major in college. So in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, or when I was going to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so my literary sponsor would be my advisor, who kind of taught me a lot about what I wanted to do, and she just kind of guided me through on where um, my life was leading and what exactly I wanted to achieve when I got older. And so I ended up changing my major from business, something that was probably going to be business management, which was something that was probably going to be very worthless, to ended up being cybersecurity. And that one, there's more money and more guarantee. And so moving on, there was a book I loved to read called Where the Wild Things, and that literary sponsor would be that book itself, because that book I would read nonstop every day, every night. I love that book. It was my bedtime storybook. It was the book I dressed up actually as the main character Max, and it just kind of described me a lot as a child because I would always rebel against my parents, and I was just that dumb, stupid, rebellious child that just didn't like to do anything or listen. But and eventually Max does learn how to listen, and so did I after I found out the meaning of how parents are to you or in your life. And so that was pretty good. And my next literary sponsor would be a tainted relationship. I had this friend since kindergarten, and we were really good friends. I would always go over to his house. He would always come over to my house, and he. I guess you could say he was kind of a toxic friend in a sense because there was a lot of things that he would do that that you would see as toxic, kind of, especially during middle school when you know, I would answer a question, he would call me out on it, or I some things that I thought that were good for me, but it ended up just being things that were to embarrass me. And I mean, it was friendship, but but then COVID happened, and during COVID, he actually his birthday was coming up, and he actually didn't invite me. Well, it sounds like I'm a spoiled little kid because like he didn't invite me to his birthday party. Oh, big deal. But the main reason why he didn't invite me to his birthday party is because he kind of did cuss me out, but not really. But he cussed me out, and he proceeded to call me ignorant. I guess in a sense because I wasn't up to his level. I guess in a way, but I mean he's still like he's the biggest hypocrite I know. He just ruined his life not too long ago, actually. And this is a representation. Basically, he's my literary sponsor because from him, I basically grew up from him. I educated myself. I told myself I was better than him, and so I canceled him out of my life. And I basically um, was living a better life without him. And so this can just represents that in a way. Moving on. Uh, hey, buddy. Yes, cancel culture. So, I mean, cancel culture was kind of a big thing, especially during like COVID and stuff like that. Like a bunch of people were getting canceled for like things they did like years ago. But I want to say one of my literary sponsors was a article or actually a spokesperson who would talk about this all the time. His name was Ben Shapiro, And Ben Shapiro will basically talk about all these types of different people canceling other people for things that they did 10 to 15 years ago. And even though they came out with an apology, they would some people's lives were ruined because of this. And so I was actually on the verge of that, except I didn't really do anything bad. It was just, you know, I guess kid things. I'm just gonna leave it at kid things. And this was I was a kid, and then now that I'm later, like when 2020, I was a senior. Now that we were almost adults, um, people were like attacking others, and that wasn't really a good thing. And I was almost a part of that, and so then I educated myself onto what like people were going against, and so I just wouldn't make a mistake or say something that was offensive to anyone. So yeah, that was also another one of my literary sponsors right here. Last but not least, beautiful flowers. And there's squid in the water. That's weird. Yes, so this, I mean, it doesn't really look Japanese, but my last literary sponsor would be kind of my Japanese aunt. She taught me a lot about my other culture that I have, since I am half Japanese, and I didn't know about this. But she basically taught me about my great grandpa, and how he would do all these things with her, such as like cooking and going to shrines and stuff like that. And I was actually very intrigued, and so my tia actually taught me and passed that culture on to me. And I don't wanna. There's a bat somewhere here. It's kind of making me mad, but I don't want to impose that culture or anything like that. But oh my god, there's so many bats. Okay, I don't want to impose that culture like that. So I actually want to, pass that culture on, and I eventually I am with my kids. I am gonna want to do that. So yeah, those are my six literary sponsors. Oh, my literary sponsor for the last one was my Thea. But yeah, those are my six literary sponsors, and I hope that's nothing. But I hope you enjoyed this little quick video I like to make for you guys, and thank you. I appreciate it.